Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. I just want to go over the massive overhaul of Marvel Rivals news that we have regarding Season 9 and some of my personal opinions on what's to come. I know this is a little late since the season's been out for a week, but this took me longer to do than I expected. I know there's a lot to go over, but I want to start off with the information that we knew was going to come out, which was the in-game lore for Season 9, which personally is my favorite part, especially the cool trailers that Marvel Rivals comes out with for each season. Based on Season 8 last gallery card, I thought that Apocalypse was going to be the main villain, but seeing him get killed in his own trailer really surprised me. I do think that the assassin was Gore the God Butcherer, which is true, but the trailer did remind me of Sierra's reveal trailer in Overwatch, where I was just saying, is that it? Like, is that really? Did they really get defeated in their own trailer? Nonetheless, the story direction in that small trailer was jaw-dropping as every one of Marvel Rivals' trailers. I'm still mesmerized by the Heart of the Dragon and Sins of Alchemist trailer because those were so sick. Anyways, I like the direction they took by having the storytelling be heavy on the hieroglyphics. I thought it was a very cool touch. I also love how this season's event is a murder mystery. I think that's just so cool and an interesting way to find out more about the lore. It really grabs my attention. I absolutely love reading the lore the writers come up with. It's one of the few media where it makes me actually want to read and where I want more readings, especially the prologue, which I think is completely underrated in this game. And the prologue is a reading that shows up every time you open the game. I love how the writers make it feel like some type of conversation with the Marvel rival team on what their thought process was on the lore without revealing too much. They mention how this season will focus on the types of evil villains can manifest into, one being the kind that carries an oppressive philosophy that holds some sort of truth, which in this case is Apocalypse's belief to kill off the weak for the betterment of surviving the time string entanglement. The other type of evil being the kind that only seeks to destroy for their own amusement, which I think is hinting at the Hood being like some type of guy who does evil for kicks and giggles. The other reading I look forward to the most is a new character lore because it dives into how they fit into the story and it gives some sort of explanation on how their powers work in the first place. So Jubilee is a character that launched at the start of season 9, and her lore tells us that she approached Apocalypse because Wanda and Magic suggested that he would be the best bet on how to find a cure for her now son Shogo. In exchange for Shogo's cure, Jubilee had to be Apocalypse's horseman of famine. The process of turning Jubilee into a horseman not only made her stronger, which explains how her kit works in general for in Marvel Rivals, but it activated a dormant vampiric gene that turned her back into a vampire. Now, she's the horseman of famine, which is quite fitting for her vampiric genes since it makes her naturally hungry. But now that she's a horseman of famine itself, her hunger is twofold, and this is because instead of cursing people with hunger, Jubilee takes people's hunger away, which is my understanding of how it was written in her lore entry. And this was an attempt on Apocalypse to make people think of him as some like good god so that he could gain people's devotion to help him ascend into godhood. I do have to say I love how each character's lore is personalized to some extent. Like for Jubilee's lore, it's a recording of the process of getting Apocalypse into godhood and why they're doing it in the first place, which seems very on brand for Jubilee. I do have to say I am confused on why she has a scar on her stomach. Cyclops' relief skin also had a scar near his stomach, and although not explicitly mentioned, I thought this was part of the testing that was done to him in Alchemax. Maybe they just wanted one of his organs, or maybe these scars on these X-Men are hints at something bigger, like Mr. Sinister coming in the future. To be honest, I thought Mr. Sinister was going to be part of this season's lore. I thought he was one of Apocalypse's followers because, Apocalypse basically made him who he is, and that maybe Mr. Sinister planned on double crossing him and he teamed up with Gore and gave his Necro Sword celestial technology making like explaining why Apocalypse's DNA was changed and why he couldn't be revived in the Lazarus chamber. But I was completely off the ball about that. It would have been really cool for Mr. Sinister to be introduced that way, but it is what it is. Maybe we'll get him some other time in the future with other teasers or something like that. But now that we know Jubilee's role in Season 9, let's go over her in-game value. As a strategist main, I'm so glad that she's a healer, and I'm really happy with her kit. I knew they were going to implement her vampiric abilities into her kit before she was revealed, thanks to Miller Ross's vague commentary on the Season 9 heroes, saying that there was one thing he didn't want the devs to do with one of the heroes, but I honestly had no idea how they were going to implement her vampiric abilities into her kit. I did think they were going to add a CC ability to her kit, one that's very similar to Rogue's CC ability, but instead Jubilee would jump on an enemy, bite them in the neck, and this would do some damage while giving her gradual healing and giving that enemy reduced healing. But outside of that, I think she's pretty good. If you can manage her passive ability that gives her rapid fire with her primary, she's pretty broken with the Hood's team up. For example, if you have one orb on an ally or enemy and burst that orb, they get a bubble icon over their head. If you hit an enemy or ally with that said icon with your primary fire rate will increase and you have infinite ammo for a short time. If you fire at another person that has that icon, you can renew your rapid fire rate again. But there is a brief window where this icon appears, which I think is like 6.5 to 7 seconds. So you can't just spam infinite rapid fire primary forever, but you can keep up that fire rate by bursting your orb over several people and going into your movement ability, which by default already gives you rapid fire infinite ammo. But if you combine this with the Hood's team up that turns your primary fire into a hit scan with critical hit damage, you could literally delete people so fast. Her ultimate gives everyone in her AoE that icon so you could do heavy damage or healing while ulting. And something that isn't mentioned in her ult is that there's these orbs that go around her AoE, and those orbs do additional healing and damage to the people it touches. So don't think that being inside of her area of effect is the only way to do healing and damage. Try to get those orbs hitting someone so you could have a better effect on pushing. Obviously, we now have to talk about the new team up system, and I think it's so great. Xeong, you could have your hairline back now. I thought that the team up system was such a novel idea from the beginning of the game, but as the seasons progressed, I did think that the team ups were, as the dev said, uninspired. Like when Cyclops came out, he should have received a team up with his wife, Jean Grey, but instead Wolverine got a team up with him for some reason. Actually, it wasn't for some reason. We all know why he got that team up. I did feel bad that the devs felt the pressure to prematurely reveal this new team up system before it was ready just to get us, the players, off their back about the current team up system. However, I do agree that the team up system needed to be changed, and I really do love these changes. Not only did they bring up old team ups, which I think might have been an old nostalgic trick to bring back players and remind them of prime Marvel rivals, but the new team up system makes sense to the characters now, and now they're actually part of each character's base kit. Some characters like actually really needed these additional abilities, like Adam Warlock, Mantis, and Ultron. Too bad the latter two got nerfed the day after release. I do have to say, I did think that Wanda was gonna get a new team up ability that was very similar to her concept art that showed her picking up rocks and throwing them, but I guess it is what it is. Now, the way the new team up system works is that everyone now has two team up abilities, and you could choose or later switch out which abilities to have between the two. The new ability is called Base Effect. If you by chance have the character that activates said ability to your team, it will have an additional effect. This is called the Enhance Effect. I love this new system because it still encourages people to choose characters that have better synergy with their team, but it doesn't heavily rely on your teammates to make your character viable in game, you know? I think of this as a pretty good system to Overwatch's perk system, except I think this system is better to that perk system because the perk system is great, but it makes you dedicate your kit without having the option to change it later. I think this is an issue because during a match, people can switch characters, and the perks you dedicated to may be irrelevant later in the game. The team up system in Marvel Rivals doesn't ask you to dedicate to it. You can freely choose what you think is better for you. I do think some team ups are objectively better than others, but I also think that maybe like quote unquote the worst team ups can be switched out down the road with when new characters get added. However, I do think it's a little unfair to have characters' team up abilities be with someone who isn't even playable yet. Like Cloak and Daggle's team up ability with the Hood, he's not even out yet, so they can't use their new ability to its full potential until he releases. Since these new team ups make everyone broken, they did nerf everyone's ult charge across the board while also making appropriate nerfs to the people who are literally server admins. I do wonder how the playtesting went to make these appropriate changes. Like, do you think there was a specific team comp that was literally undefeatable? Like, I wonder how they collected the data and how that experience was. Like, do you think they did statistical tests like ANOVAs, or I wonder how they really did it? Like, I would really love to look at that data and figure it out myself. My favorite part about the new team up system is how they mentioned that some of the abilities were inspired by the Marvel Rivals community, while others were solely the devs' ideas. It's truly amazing for the devs to recognize their faults in the recent team ups and revamp it by using community ideas. I know the community managers were like working overtime to look at everyone's comments on the current system and how to make it better. Oh, how much I'd love to be a Marvel Rivals community manager. Anyways, this shows the rare relationship that devs can have with their gaming community, one where developers can listen and keep their players happy while simultaneously keeping their game relevant. It feels like a mutual relationship where neither party has total control over the other. The devs also gave dive characters a buff in their health. They now have a fraction of their total health be green. This green health is called regenerative shield health. It works the same as regular health, but the regenerative shield health can passively be restored if you don't take damage for 5 seconds. It does not heal regular white health, just a portion of the green health, so don't think you could heal or get back to full health if you wait 5 seconds, because you won't. You only have about half of your health restored. I think this is a nice addition to dive characters where they don't have to rely on their strategist's healing or health packs to have a safe dive, unless of course they take too much damage. They already have to wait a few seconds for their cooldowns anyways, so why not just heal some health too? I think it's a pretty good buff for dive, but as a strategist main, I am terrified of this buff. Now, the Black Widow rework. I think it was appropriate. Black Widow needed a rework because her kit just wasn't enough. I know the Black Widow mains are upset about the changes, and rightfully so, because this is a character they dedicated learning, and now she has a completely different identity. However, I do think these changes make her a more viable pick for people. I mean, I plan on playing her now. I didn't plan on playing her before. And I do agree that I don't think Moral Rivals needs a one-shot sniper, and they don't, but I do feel like they might introduce another sniper character in the future, and Black Widow was just like some type of test or something. I don't know. In Black Widow's changes, they turned her old ult into a regular ability with obviously lesser damage, and they gave her a new ability that was all actually a part of her concept where she would slam onto the ground, and I don't know if she stuns, but it does a little has a little area of effect damage. They removed her stamina bar, so now she could run infinitely, which I thought should have been implemented in the beginning, since she has the same super soldier serum that Captain America took. Yeah, he doesn't have a stamina bar for his running ability. They also changed her ult into her sniper mode, where she still can't one shot anyone, but she doesn't have fall off damage, her bullets pierce. I do think they were going to give Black Widow a rework because she got a legendary summer skin, but I don't think that they gave her any special sound effects to her new abilities, which is a shame. It would have been nice to have additional sounds for people who bought that summer skin. Now let's talk about the battle pass. I think the battle pass is perfect. It has a good mix of Egyptian themed skins, which is this season's theme, while also implementing a few variations with like the Savage Land skins and other themes outside of it. I love it because it doesn't just force the Egyptian theme down your throat, and it gives a variation. I do want to mention that I think Mr. Fantastic's red recolor is an attempt of giving players his rank recolor that they failed to provide back in Season 1. For those who don't know, back in Season 1 of Marvel Rivals, they released two heroes in the first and latter season. The first half of the season introduced Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic, while the latter half introduced the Thing and Human Torch, which, by the way, I thought it was a perfect way to introduce the Fantastic Four. Anyways, in the first half of the season, if you were gold rank or above, your reward was a red recolor of Invis, while the latter season's reward was a red recolor of Human Torch. They never gave a red recolor of either Mr. Fantastic or the Thing, and some players were rightfully mad about this. And for good reason, because it's pretty unfair to just have half of the rank rewards for the characters that came out. So seeing Mr. Fantastic get his red recolor makes me think that maybe the Thing will get a red recolor in some battle pass in the future too. Now I want to give a little insight on what I think might happen for the rest of 2026, but it is far-fetched, so I'm probably going to be completely wrong. So, for those who don't know, XOXO Leak, a highly credible Marvel Rivals data mine leaker, revealed the upcoming heroes for the rest of 2026 year. These heroes being Nightcrawler and Gore the God Butcherer in Season 10, and Doctor Doom, along with a mysterious other hero for Season 11. Since this leak, a lot of people have speculated on what roles these future characters will be. The Hood is the next hero that's going to be playable in Season 9.5, and I do think he will be a tank. I also think that Gore and Doctor Doom will also be a tank. I think that Nightcrawler and the other hero that will be revealed with Doom will be a duelist. But I do think they're going to surprise us with Doom. Maybe both versions of Doctor Doom, present day and 2029, will be similar to what they did with Deadpool, where he's just more than one role. Based off of Doctor Doom's art, the present day Doom does seem bigger, which I think makes him a good fit for a strategist. I mean, Vanguard, sorry. While I think 2099 Doom's slimmer build will make him a strategist. Dual Ops recently came out with a video theorizing that maybe both Dooms will come together to free their mother from Mephisto's hell by combining the tablets of life and time with a tablet of death and entropy, which will then have Mephisto be the main villain of the 2026 year and to come. I can totally see this happening because of the way the writers have been building up Doom's story while also building up Mephisto. And the reason I believe that they may make Doctor Doom both a vanguard and a strategist is because I looked at the amount of heroes they have released in 2025 and compared them to the heroes that have come out in 2026. In 2025, we have 4 vanguards, 5 duelists, and 3 strategists. This ratio perfectly captures the current hero roster where strategists have the least amount of heroes while duelists have the highest amount of heroes, putting vanguards in the middle. And this ratio shows that each role has a difference of 1 except between duelists and strategists. The current ratio of heroes that have come out in 2026 is 2 vanguards, 4 duelists, and 3 strategists. Keep in mind that this ratio is skewed because Deadpool was a hero that put a hero in each role. Now, if my assumption is correct on which roles the leaked heroes are going to be, the ratio for released heroes in 2026 should be 5 vanguards, 6 duelists, and 4 strategists, which is pretty close to the original ratio where each role is 1 apart except for duelists and strategists. Now, if we remove Deadpool from this ratio totally, the 2026 ratio is now 4 vanguards, 5 duelists, and 3 strategists, which is the same ratio as 2025's released heroes. I know this is far-fetched and a lot has to be considered since we don't even know the roles of these future heroes, but it was just something that I noticed and I wanted to mention. I thought it was a fun theory, and I'm more than likely going to be completely wrong on it. So thank you so much for making it this far in the video. I really appreciate anyone who watched the whole thing. Let me know your guys' opinions in the comment section below. I know this isn't the usual types of videos I post. I'm just going to post random stuff from now on, so maybe don't expect the pattern. I just do whatever I want, I guess. So thank you again for watching, and make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Bye.